don't talk about what goes on inside there, but it only raised more questions. And the one thing that was fundamentally answered, he should not be on Intel. I just think there are definitely 200 other Democrats that I know could fill that place.
Strong words from House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy after finally receiving a briefing on Congressman Eric Swalwell's ties to a suspected Chinese spy.
Former Congressman Darrell Issa witnessed Swalwell's rise through the ranks to join the Intel Committee. California Congressman-elect Issa joins us now. Congressman-elect, thanks for being here. We've been following this story closely. It gets more fascinating by the day. But what do you make of Kevin McCarthy's comments? Those are some pretty strong words. He should not be on Intel.
Well, I think people have to understand the Select Committee on Intelligence, which I served on. It is a committee where either the ranking member, Mr. McCarthy, or the speaker, depending upon your party, chooses who sits on that committee. And only a handful of Republicans, only a handful of Democrats sit on this committee to hear the most sensitive information. So it's not a committee you must serve on. As a matter of fact, it's not even a committee that counts against your, if you will, your normal committees. So it is a privilege and a service on behalf of all the members of Congress to sit on the committee. So with Eric compromised right now in the confidence of his own people, to say the least, plus, of course, members of Congress on the Republican side, there's no logical reason that Nancy Pelosi shouldn't pull him and replace him with somebody. By the way, there's always a long list of people who want to get on the committee waiting for an opportunity to serve.
Congressman, why would she choose him in the first place? Is it common that a second-term congressman with no experience on intelligence or law enforcement or foreign policy would be chosen? He's a known partisan. Does it raise eyebrows from the beginning?
It has from the beginning. He's from a neighboring area, from Oakland area. I think it had more to do with his loyalty to her and his proximity to her district. But, regardless of how he got on and the fact that he really wasn't qualified, and I'll even accept that nobody is qualified at that level practically, except maybe Mike Pompeo when he came out as a former CIA person. But the fact is, there's no logical reason to have him continue serving in a compromised role. By the way, the normal tradition is 8 years and you're off. So he's really served his full term at this point, too.
Congressman-elect, we've done this story several times on Fox and Friends. We've talked about the exodus from California to states like Texas. I believe the numbers are now in the hundreds of thousands of people who've chosen to leave the state of California. The political winds in California always seem to favor Democrats, and Gavin Newsom has benefited. Is there any building momentum to change those winds, to recall Gavin Newsom amidst what's going on in California?
There's huge building momentum, and you saw it with both in and out of state support for the recall. I think the important thing is that somebody has to have a wake-up call for the governor, or we're going to go exactly down the road I saw in 2003, where Gray Davis didn't understand and the people demanded a change, and they got a pretty radical change with Arnold Schwarzenegger. And for a time, we had the lights came back on, power started working, the economy started working. I think if he doesn't take this very, very seriously, a recall is inevitable.
Joe Biden, on another topic, has nominated his Interior Secretary, Representative Debbie Haaland. And there's been lots of talk that that pick gives a little bit of a boost to House Republicans. Of course, she would have to exit the House, and that would chip into that Democrat majority. Your thoughts on that?
Well, it's always dangerous to take members of the House because special elections can go just the exact opposite of the way they did just a few months ago. We've seen that in the past. We certainly saw it in the Trump administration. And I think in this climate, it is very possible that any swing seat, even not so swing seat, in a Biden presidency would end up in Republican hands. But even if they didn't, for the period of time that there's a vacancy, 3 or 4 months, it really does change the ratio to be more favorable to Republicans demanding a seat at the table and some fairness in House operations.
Well, Congressman-elect, it's very early there, and we are grateful you got up for us. Darrell Issa, thank you so much. Merry Christmas.
Well, Merry Christmas.